The unthinkable question keeps military experts awake at night. What happens when titans collide? The United States versus China. America against Russia. Superpowers locked in a death match that could reshape the world forever. It's the scenario nobody wants to imagine, but everybody needs to understand. When the world's most dangerous militaries face off, who walks away standing? The answer isn't what you might expect. Before the first shot is fired, wars are won and lost in the ledger books. And in this financial battlefield, America doesn't just dominate, it obliterates the competition. If the United States drops a staggering $877 billion on its military machine every single year, that's not just big money, it's national wealth. To put this in perspective, America spends more on defense than China, Russia combined. If military budgets were poker chips, the US would own the entire casino. If China, playing the role of ambitious challenger, throws $292 billion into the ring, impressive? Sure, but it's still less than half of America's war chest. Russia? They're scraping together a mere $86 billion, not even pocket change compared to the American juggernaut. But here's where it gets interesting and terrifying. This isn't just about bragging rights. Every dollar translates into lethality on the battlefield. More money means better training, deadlier weapons, and technology that turns soldiers into unstoppable forces. While America's troops get cutting-edge gear that looks like it came from science fiction, their enemies are often stuck with equipment that belongs in a museum. Yet there's a shadow growing on the horizon. China's military spending has exploded from nothing to number 2 in the world in just 2 decades. Russia, meanwhile, bleeds money into the Ukrainian meat grinder, while sanctions choke their economy like a tightening noose. But as any general will tell you, deep pockets don't guarantee victory. They just buy you the tools to fight. But when the shooting starts, it becomes something else. When bullets start flying, numbers matter. But in the deadly game of modern warfare, it's not about who has the most soldiers, it's about who has the best. America fields 1.3 million active warriors, backed by another 760,000 in reserve. These aren't just soldiers. They're battle-hardened veterans who've seen hell and walked back out. From the deserts of Iraq to the mountains of Afghanistan, American troops have been forged in the crucible of real combat. They don't just train for war, they've lived it, breathed it, and survived it. But then there's China, and the numbers are absolutely staggering. 2 million active soldiers march under the red flag, the largest standing army on Earth. Add another 500,000 reserves, and you're looking at a human tsunami that could overwhelm almost any enemy through sheer mass alone. And the problem, most of these troops are green as grass, with zero combat experience beyond parade grounds and training exercises. Russia brings a different kind of danger to the table. 1 million active troops supported by 2 million reserves sounds formidable on paper. In reality, the Ukrainian bloodbath has exposed Russia's military as a hollow shell. Soldiers lacking proper training, equipment shortages that would be laughable if they weren't so deadly, and morale so low it's practically underground. Here's the brutal truth. If America went toe-to-toe with either rival, it would be quality versus quantity. China would try to drown U.S. forces in bodies. Russia would rely on artillery barrages and mass reserves. But America would win through superior training, better equipment, and tactics that turn every soldier into a force multiplier. The American way of war has always been simple. We don't need the most troops. We need the deadliest ones. But when armies clash on the ground, tanks become kings of the battlefield. In this mechanized chess game, every piece matters, but some are deadlier than others. With America rolling out around 6,000 tanks, dominated by the legendary M1 Abrams, a 70-ton death machine that's proven itself in actual combat. The Abrams has torn through enemy lines from Kuwait to Iraq, earning its reputation as one of the most feared weapons on Earth. Backing up these steel monsters are over 40,000 armored vehicles, creating a mobile fortress that can strike anywhere, anytime. Then with China counters with sheer numbers, over 5,000 active tanks plus thousands more in storage waiting for their moment. Their Type 99 tanks were specifically designed to go head-to-head with the Abrams, boasting impressive specs and cutting-edge technology. On paper, they look unstoppable. In reality, they're completely untested. No one knows how Chinese armor would perform when American shells start flying. Russia brings the numbers game to a whole new level. 12,000 tanks, the largest stockpile on the planet. But many of these are Soviet relics that should be in museums, not battlefields. Ukraine has become a graveyard for Russian armor, with modern anti-tank weapons turning Putin's steel beasts into burning coffins. Russia's legendary artillery tradition remains dangerous, but even their heavy guns are showing their age. The equation is brutal, but clear. If American ground forces faced either enemy, it wouldn't be about who has more tanks. It would be about whose tanks survive first contact. America would bet on quality, precision, and devastating support systems. China would gamble on overwhelming numbers. Russia would rely on the sheer terror of massed firepower. But in modern warfare, the side that controls the ground controls the war, and America's ground game remains unmatched. Whoever owns the sky owns the battlefield, and when it comes to air dominance, America obliterates the competition. The U.S. Air Force is an aerial armada like nothing the world has ever seen. Over 13,000 aircraft patrol the skies, from nimble fighters to massive bombers. But the crown jewel, the F-22 Raptor, a stealth fighter so advanced it's practically invisible to enemy radar. Paired with the F-35 Lightning II, America possesses a 1-2 punch that can appear out of nowhere and can strike with surgical precision and vanish before the enemy even knows what hit them. China's response is impressive, but incomplete. With 3,000 aircraft, including their J-20 stealth fighter designed to challenge the F-22, they're building a formidable air force. The J-20 looks menacing on paper and in propaganda videos, but there's a critical difference. American pilots have been testing their skills in real combat for decades. Chinese aviators, they've been flying training missions. Russia's 4,000 aircraft tell a story of faded glory. Their Su-27s and MiG-29s were once the terror of NATO nightmares. Today, they're aging relics struggling against Ukrainian defenders. Even Russia's advanced Su-57 stealth fighter exists more in headlines than in actual squadrons. They've built so few that they're basically experimental aircraft. But here's where America truly dominates: strategic bombing. The B-2 Spirit and the new B-21 Raider can deliver devastation anywhere on Earth, completely undetected. China and Russia have bombers, but nothing with America's global reach or stealth capabilities. The math is terrifying for America's enemies: superior jets, unmatched pilot training, and bombers that can strike anywhere. When American air power arrives, the war is already over. The enemy just doesn't know it yet. But when it comes to the ocean, superpowers reveal their true strength. Control the seas, and you control the world. The U.S. Navy commands 490 warships, spearheaded by 11 nuclear-powered aircraft carriers of floating fortresses that can launch up to 80 jets anywhere on the planet. No nation on Earth comes even close to this sea-based dominance. Add in America's submarine fleet, nuclear-powered phantoms that can strike without warning, and you have an underwater nightmare for any enemy. China's naval expansion is nothing short of alarming. Over 370 warships now fly the red flag, making it the world's largest fleet by sheer numbers. Their 3 aircraft carriers show serious ambitions. They're building a steel wall around the South China Sea, daring America to try and break through. Russia's Navy tells a sadder story. With 270 warships and only 1 decrepit aircraft carrier that spends more time in repair than at sea, Russia's surface fleet is more symbol than substance. However, their submarine force remains deadly dangerous. Russian nuclear subs lurking in the depths could unleash apocalyptic strikes on American cities. The strategic reality is crystal clear. America's Navy was built to fight anywhere. China's was built to keep America away from their doorstep, and Russia's exists mostly to threaten nuclear annihilation. In a naval war, America would use its carriers and submarines to strike from the shadows. China would turn their coastal waters into a kill zone. Russia would rely on their underwater ghost fleet to even the odds. But only one navy can truly project power across every ocean on Earth. So here's the ultimate question that keeps defense analysts awake at night. What happens when America's war machine actually faces China or Russia in a fight to the death? If the US fought Russia in Europe, NATO would be a major factor. America already has bases and troops in Germany, Poland, and other countries. That means US forces could move into the fight quickly. Russia would rely on its massive artillery and ground forces, especially close to its borders. But the US has air dominance, precision strikes, and advanced logistics. With NATO support, Russia could gain some ground at first, but holding it against America's technology and allied forces would be extremely difficult. Against China in the Pacific, the challenge is different. China's navy is now the largest in the world by number of ships, and it has strong defenses near its coast. In a battle over Taiwan, China could throw huge firepower into the region. The US, though, has unmatched carriers, submarines, and long-range bombers that could operate from farther away. The fight would be intense, with both sides suffering heavy losses. The US would try to control the skies and sea lanes, while China would aim to sink US ships before they could get close. A global war against both Russia and China would stretch the US thin, but this is where America's worldwide network of allies matters most. NATO in Europe, Japan and South Korea in Asia, and Australia in the Pacific give the US a reach that neither Russia nor China can match. Here's the reality. Russia is strong regionally, but limited globally. China is building fast, but still lacks America's technology and experience. A full-scale war between these military giants would unleash destruction on a level the world has never seen. Hypersonic weapons would tear through the skies, cities would crumble, and the loss of life would be counted in the millions. Even the so-called winner would be left scarred, drained, and broken. But after all the analysis, when every weapon is tallied and every strategy is measured, one truth becomes clear. America still holds the edge. With its unmatched defense budget, a battle-tested military, and a global web of powerful alliances, no rival today can compete with the full range of American military power. The greatest victory, however, is the one never fought. Because in a clash between superpowers armed with modern weapons, even victory would feel like defeat. The question isn't just who would win, it's whether humanity itself could survive the outcome. And if that thought doesn't make you pause, nothing will. But while America holds the global edge, another story is unfolding across the Atlantic. Russia's aggressive moves have shaken Europe awake, forcing its militaries to rethink, rebuild, and rearm.